Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 134 based on novel. So let's start. The lance broke the sound barrier and shot out like lightning toward the green illusion, letting out a thunderous roar on the way. The green illusion was human-shaped, but there were no details on its face, there was only a vague outline. A mysterious light suddenly appeared in the eyes of the illusionary figure. Its hands formed a seal like a cultivator and it opened its mouth as if it was trying to say something. A large amount of green light suddenly appeared from the grass and flowers covering the area. In almost an instant, everything as far as the eye could see was covered in this bright light. All of this happened in an extremely short period of time. When Wang Lin saw the figure make a seal like a cultivator, his eyes narrowed. He didn't even look at the lance he had tossed out and immediately backed up several dozen feet. Wang Lin was backing up, but the lance was moving faster than lightning toward the green figure. As the lance charged forward and Wang Lin retreated, his eyes revealed a mysterious light. Both of his hands formed a seal as he backed up, and the images of various restriction sets appeared in his head. These sets of restrictions flashed mysteriously in Wang Lin's mind as they began to link together. Then they suddenly split apart and began to link together in different ways. However, after doing this a few times, some of the restrictions would stay fused and would move away from the others. If one looked carefully, they would see that there were already dozens of these restrictions in the pile of ones that had already fused. The process of linking and separating was like a cycle that kept on going. This kind of process for Wang Lin was a type of deduction. This deduction had begun the moment he saw the ancient formation and sat down on the ground. What Wang Lin studied wasn't normal restrictions, but the ancient restrictions from the land of the ancient god. These techniques were very old, and even the ancient cultivators only managed to learn how to use them and didn't create them themselves. Already 57. Still need to continue. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. The lance of restrictions continued to charge toward the green figure. When Wang Lin retreated a few dozen feet, the lance was already within 1 foot of the green figure. Its speed was too fast, so it broke through the sound barrier. The wind it created moved even faster than the lance and collided with the green figure. At this moment, the green figure collapsed under the wind. However, at the moment it collapsed, the crystal green lights that shined where its eyes were suddenly dimmed. But they immediately started shining brightly again. At this moment, the green lights thousands of kilometers around the valley all shined brightly. Rays of green light shot out from these floating blobs of green light. The rays sent out by these countless floating blobs of green light intertwined with each other. All of this happened right after the green figure collapsed. This happened too fast, so fast that it left people with no time to react. Even with the speed of the lance, it only managed to move several dozen feet in that period of time. However, just at this moment, in the blink of an eye, a change happened before Wang Lin. Although the deduction was still going on in Wang Lin's mind and was reaching its completion, his eyes were still staring at the formation. At this moment, Wang Lin could see that the area 10,000 feet around the formation was surrounded by countless layers of green light. The entire area 10,000 feet around the valley had become a giant, green cage. Wang Lin was caught inside this cage. There were countless green flashes in the cage, and it was impossible to tell how many of them flashed violently at the same time. There was a flash and a bang from the lance, and it cracked in half down the middle. Although the restriction lance was destroyed, Wang Lin didn't seem to care, because after all, the lance was formed by restrictions. As far as it not breaking the formation, Wang Lin wasn't surprised. The only way it would have broken the formation would have been for the formation to just be out in the open and not defend itself at all as the lance hit it at full power. Wang Lin's true reason for throwing out the lance was because the deduction in his mind was almost complete and he could begin breaking the formation at any moment. The restriction lance was destroyed, and he was trapped inside this 10,000-foot radius cage of green light, but his expression didn't change at all. In Wang Lin's mind, the deduction continued to push toward a solution. Ouyang Hua's cold laughter came from within the valley. "Foreigner, how is my tribe's formation? It is not too late to leave now. Break an arm and a leg and reveal your origin soul for the formation to absorb 3 times, then I'll let you leave. Wang Lin raised his head as he looked into the valley. Suddenly, shadows of symbols appeared inside his eyes. Finally, those shadows quickly gathered inside his eyes. The 83rd one. This is already the limit, but it should be enough to break this formation. At this moment, Wang Lin's deduction reached a solution. His eyes were like the ghostly fire of the underworld that would cause anyone who looked at him to tremble. He looked at the valley and coldly said, "Impudent person, you even dare to say such arrogant words." Ouyang Hua's mad laughter came from within the valley. "Is that so? Then let this old man show you who here is really impudent. Green figure, kill and collect." After he said that, the green cage surrounding the valley quickly began to shrink at an unimaginable speed. In almost the blink of an eye, it was already within dozens feet of Wang Lin. All of this happened in the time it took for the green light to flash once. "Foreigner, you will become the second demon shadow for my valley." Ouyang Hua's voice from within the valley was filled with cruel bloodlust. Wang Lin's body didn't move at all, but at this moment, symbols quickly flashed through his eyes. Every time a symbol flashed, there was a glow of ghostly light. As they flashed, restriction symbols flew out of his eyes and locked onto his surrounding. The first symbol released a ghostly light as it flew out of Wang Lin's eyes. When it landed in the air, ripples appeared around it, then it disappeared without a trace. As the green light cage closed in like crazy, all of the living things it passed through wilted as if being devoured. As it closed in on the center and became smaller and smaller, the aura it gave off became stronger and stronger. At the end of another flash, the green light was only 30 feet from Wang Lin. However, just at this moment, the first complete restriction symbol appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. The symbol merged into the void and spread out like ripples. The ripples immediately collided with the enclosing green net. There wasn't any heaven-shattering sound, but there were sizzling sounds coming in from the net, and the speed at which it closed in even paused for a moment. Wang Lin's eyes flashed again and 10 complete restriction symbols appeared. Then they all disappeared into the void and ripples began to spread out. The sizzling sound from the green light cage that had just paused for a moment became even louder. This time, lines that looked like cracks slowly spread across the cage, creating a series of cracking sounds. 30 restriction symbol sets. Wang Lin's eyes flashed again, and this time 30 restriction symbols appeared before quickly merging into the void. The green light cage that was within 30 feet of Wang Lin immediately collapsed. It turned into countless specks of light like a starry sky. It looked very mysterious. Wang Lin's expression was normal as he looked at the valley. At the same time, the strange symbol sets continued to flash in his eyes. This time, more than 40 complete restriction symbols appeared one by one. Wang Lin pointed forward and his eyes became cold. All of the restriction symbol sets trembled before charging toward the valley. These complete restriction symbols merged into the void one by one and turned into ripples. There was a total of 83 restriction symbols from start to finish. This was a set of restriction symbols that Wang Lin had produced just to break this formation. A large amount of green light suddenly appeared around the valley, and even more green light appeared inside it. However, the moment this green light appeared, countless restriction symbols flashed around it. With every flash, the green light would dim until it completely disappeared. Wang Lin's eyes were like lightning as he raised his foot and walked toward the valley step by step. With every step he took, even more green lights appeared within the valley. These green lights gathered together to form a large pillar that smashed itself toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was normal, and he didn't slow down at all as he took another step. The green light pillar came crashing toward Wang Lin, but when it was 10 steps away from him, a large amount of restriction symbols suddenly appeared between it and him. The green light pillar suddenly dimmed and began to collapse. As for Wang Lin, he didn't change his speed at all as he walked forward step by step. As Wang Lin moved forward, the green light pillar quickly retreated, and it continued to collapse as it retreated. When Wang Lin was only 10 steps from the valley, the green light pillar completely collapsed. At the same time, the valley suddenly shook. It felt like the protective force around it was quickly dissipating. Celestial, have mercy, have mercy. Ouyang Hua admits his fault. Ouyang Hua's voice immediately came from within the valley. Ouyang Hua's voice was rushed and filled with bitterness. After he finished speaking, several dozen people walked out with Ouyang Hua leading the way. Although there was a wide age range among these people, all of them were male, and they had a large amount of green liquid smeared over their bodies. After Ouyang Hua walked out, he looked at Wang Lin, who was 10 steps away, and revealed a complex look in his eyes. Then he secretly let out a sigh before clasping his hands respectfully at Wang Lin and saying, with the voice of someone who has given up, "This old man Ouyang Hua didn't know you were a supreme celestial. Everything that just happened is my fault, and I'm willing to take responsibility for it. I beg Supreme Celestial to be virtuous and not destroy the formation, because it will expose my village to the demon spirits and we will become their food." The dozens of people behind Ouyang Hua all looked at Wang Lin with terror in their eyes. Wang Lin looked at everyone before raising his hand and forming a seal. He pointed at the air and countless ripples immediately appeared there before slowly dissipating. Without the existence of the ripples, the formation immediately began to recover. The dissipation of the protective force slowed down until it finally stopped. Ouyang Hua finally let out a sigh of relief. His gaze toward Wang Lin now contained a hint of respect along with a complex feeling. Ouyang Hua quickly said, "Supreme Celestial, time is getting late and the demon spirit night is about to arrive, so it's best we go inside to talk." Then he bit the tip of his right finger to squeeze out a drop of blood and then pressed it against a wall to the right. In an instant, the mountain began to rumble like a giant that was waking up. As the rumbling got louder, the side of the cliff began to distort like a painting until it split in half like it had been cut up by a pair of scissors. A straight tunnel leading directly into the valley passed by Ouyang Hua's group and stopped right before Wang Lin. Ouyang Hua respectfully said, "This way, Supreme Celestial." Wang Lin didn't waste any words and he indeed did have too many questions he needed to ask. He raised his foot and took a step forward. Inside the valley, it gave the feeling that even in the darkest night, there was still hope. This place looked like a living area for cultivators. However, there were only countless houses without the cultivators, jades, and magic treasures. The environment inside the valley was very green and filled with foliage. Although the sun was setting, the entire area still looked green. Wang Lin's gaze went through the houses and he saw people hiding inside. Almost every house had people hiding inside, and they were all women and children. They weren't topless like the men but had their bodies covered up. As for those children, some peeked out the windows when their mothers weren't looking. Their eyes were clear, distinct, and were filled with curiosity. When Wang Lin saw this, his step suddenly stopped. Everything before him was too different from what he saw before. Although he didn't care for good or evil and did everything following his own heart, he couldn't help but let out a sigh of shame. With his soul transformation cultivation, he spent so much effort to break that formation. He could have never expected this place to just be a village. Everyone beside the old man named Ouyang Hua was a mortal. Wang Lin's divine sense swept across the valley. Ouyang Hua and the people following him were still frowning. When they noticed Wang Lin stop, their hearts trembled. There were even some tribe members who bit hard on their lower lips and clenched their fists. In their view, this was their home, and for their home, they would give up everything, even their lives. Ouyang Hua quickly went up next to Wang Lin and bitterly said, "Supreme Celestial, you?" Wang Lin turned around. His gaze swept past the people behind Ouyang Hua. With Wang Lin's mental strength, he could instantly tell what they were thinking. Wang Lin pondered for a bit before clasping his hands at these people and saying, "I have bothered you, and so I won't be entering the valley." With that, he pondered a bit and touched his bag of holding. 3 jade bottles appeared. He threw them forward and they floated to the ground. There are a few dozen pills inside these jade bottles. They have the effect of helping one recover and stabilizing one's foundation. This is my gift for barging in here. Wang Lin let out a sigh as he shook his head and walked out of the valley. Ouyang Hua's eyes lit up like they had never done before. He stared at the jade bottles as he walked forward and grabbed them. After opening one and taking a sniff, his expression couldn't help but change, then he put them away. He turned around and began speaking to his tribe in another language. All of them nodded, and some of them even smiled at Wang Lin with goodwill and continued to clasp their hands at him. When Ouyang Hua finished speaking, those dozens of people scattered and returned to their houses. Soon after, there were a lot of festive sounds coming out of the houses. Inside the valley, the children ran out of the houses to play, and the females all walked out. In almost an instant, the emptiness the valley had before disappeared, and it was now filled with life. "Supreme Celestial, wait, wait," said Ouyang Hua as he rushed up. His expression was extremely sincere. Wang Lin didn't speak as he continued to step forward and was about to leave the valley. He had already decided to continue flying east to see what mysteries this place contained. He also wanted to see exactly what the ancient demon city 15 million kilometers away was like. As for questioning these people, Wang Lin had lost interest. The children's innocent eyes and the women's fearful gazes made Wang Lin remember a lot. Ouyang Hua didn't dare to get too close and loudly said, "Supreme Celestial, tonight is the night of the demon spirits. No matter how powerful you are, you won't have enough energy to last against the large amount of demon spirits. How about you stay here for now? If you still want to leave, it won't be too late tomorrow." This was the second time Wang Lin had heard the words, "Night of the Demon Spirits," from Ouyang Hua. He stopped and turned around to face Ouyang Hua. "What is the Night of the Demon Spirits?" Ouyang Hua quickly said, "Supreme Celestial, this old man will naturally tell you about it in detail. How about we go to my house and talk about it?" Wang Lin pondered a bit and then nodded. Ouyang Hua's house was at the northernmost corner of the village. There were no houses around his house, making this place very unusual. His house was circular like a steam bun and was partially buried underground. A majority of the house was cyan-colored. The house was of decent size with a wooden bed, wooden table, and a wood chairs. There were also some other things scattered across the room. There were some decorations on the walls, and in an inconspicuous corner, there was a painting. Standing inside the room, Wang Lin's gaze was locked onto the painting on the wall as he silently pondered. This painting was already turning yellow and the corners were damaged. The entire painting was also wrinkling up. It has clearly been around for a very long time. The person on the painting was a man around his 40s. He was looking into the distance as if he was pondering something, and his hand was casually placed before his chest, making a strange seal. Following the direction of the man's gaze, there was the sky. There was a black cloud in the air, an illusion seemed to appear from it. However, this painting was too old, so it was not possible to see what exactly was inside the black cloud. Ouyang Hua respectfully stood beside Wang Lin as he followed Wang Lin's gaze toward the painting and unconsciously revealed a look of admiration. Shortly after, while Wang Lin's gaze was still on the painting, he slowly asked, "How long has the formation around the valley existed for?" Ouyang Hua pondered a bit and then slowly said, "This formation has been around for far too long, so no one remembers when it was placed. From what I can remember, I only know that countless years ago, a person named Huang Long brought my ancestors and settled them here. Rumor has it that back then, the formation had already existed for countless years. Is it this person?" Wang Lin's gaze was still on this person. "Yes, he is Supreme Celestial Huang Long." The admiration in Ouyang Hua's gaze became even stronger. "Huang Long, he really is called Huang Long." Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light. After a long time, he let out a soft sigh and gently rubbed the area between his brows. "Huang Long. What the hell is going on?" Wang Lin seemed to have forgotten about Ouyang Hua's existence and his gaze was still locked onto the painting. The male on the painting was very handsome and was filled with a celestial aura. If someone said that he was a celestial, people would believe it. "Huang Long," Wang Lin's eyes revealed a look of confusion. This kind of gaze was very rare from Wang Lin. Wang Lin's heart has always been strong, but at the moment he entered the room and saw the painting, his origin soul shook. Wang Lin pondered for a long time before slowly asking, "How do you know he is named Huang Long?" Ouyang Hua was confused by this question. After hesitating for a bit, he asked, do you know Supreme Celestial Huang Long?" Wang Lin frowned. Ouyang Hua quickly said, everything I know came from the founding ancestor, that is where I heard Huang Long's name. Wang Lin pondered as he looked at the scroll and revealed a look of reminiscence. His heart seemed to have pierced through the East Demon Spirit Sea, pierced through space, pierced through the sky, and returned to his hometown on planet Suzaku. His heart also went back several hundred years, back to the young man who had just left the valley, wasn't accepted by the immortals, and was laughed at by everyone in the village. After many twists and turns of fate, this young man was accepted into a sect. This sect was called the Hengyu sect. There was a person in the Hengyu sect called Huang Long, and he was the sect master. The Huang Long of the Hengyu sect was only at the formation establishment stage. Although their appearances are the same, they can't be the same person. Wang Lin silently pondered. However, to have the same name and appearance is too strange, too demonic. No wonder this place is called the East Demon Spirit Sea. The word demon is very fitting for this place. Wang Lin's gaze fell on the black cloud at the corner of the painting. Ouyang Hua stood on the side and respectfully said, "The black cloud in the painting represents the night of demonic spirits. Only by being inside the formation can you be safe. What does the full moon have to do with demonic spirits?" Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. This place is the land of the demonic spirits, so it's natural for there to be days when the demonic spirits come out to hunt, and those days are when the moon is full. Ouyang Hua anxiously looked outside. Right now dusk was about to be over, and it was going to be night soon. Tonight is a full moon. Supreme Celestial will be able to see the demonic spirits hunt later. Ouyang Hua withdrew his gaze. Wang Lin's expression remained the same. After pondering for a while, he slowly said, "What was the thing you talked about, the thing that I need and would get at the ancient demon city?" After Ouyang Hua heard this, he hesitated but immediately clenched his teeth and said, "Since Supreme Celestial has asked, then I won't waste time. The land of demonic spirits is simply too big, and rumor has it that there are a total of 9 countries on this land. The country we are in is the Sky Demon Country. To be more exact, this place is part of the Sky Demon Country, but it's a wasteland. After this old man awakened his power in ancient demon city, I could only ever reach 1 star. I was not qualified to stay, so I returned to my tribe as an elder to educate my tribesmen. In the Sky Demon Country, there is the Demon King Kuanshu. Below him are the 8 great demon generals, 10 million demon soldiers, and more than 100 cities. That is the power of 1 country." Ouyang Hua respectfully said, "As for the thing this old man mentioned, Supreme Celestial, it is a long story. Almost everyone here knows that foreigners appear every 5,000 years. Every time the foreigners arrive, they create a bloodbath. All of these foreigners go to various countries and take up different positions. The more they contribute, the higher their position will be. There are even rumors that one of the 8 great generals of the Sky Demon Country is a foreigner that came countless years ago and never left. After foreigners enter, they go through a mysterious change. They often kill each other as if doing so would benefit them. This point is something this old man doesn't understand. Since Supreme Celestial is a foreigner, I believe you understand this more than me." Wang Lin slightly frowned. He seemed to understand but wasn't exactly sure. After pondering for a bit, he slowly said, "You still haven't told me what the thing I want is." Ouyang Hua's body stiffened and he silently pondered. Wang Lin quietly waited. His gaze was still on the painting. Shortly after, Ouyang Hua let out a sigh and said, "Supreme Celestial, I won't lie to you. Although this place has the thing you need, it is simply too important. If you take it by force, then everyone inside the valley will die one by one." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, and for the first time, his gaze left the painting and moved to Ouyang Hua. Ouyang Hua looked at Wang Lin and their gazes met. After a while, Ouyang Hua gradually lowered his head, but then he suddenly raised it and said, "However, if Supreme Celestial still has pills like before, then it would be fine for this old man to give you the thing you need." Wang Lin's right hand touched his bag of holding and jade bottles came out one by one. These jade bottles gave off bursts of white light, and there was no less than 12 bottles. After flying a circle in the air, the jade bottles returned to the bag of holding. Ouyang Hua's eyes followed those jade bottles as they circled in the air. It wasn't until they returned to the bag of holding that he withdrew his gaze. After swallowing hard, he took a deep breath and said, "The pills that you foreigners bring have always been important treasures here because we don't have any materials to refine pills. Follow me, Supreme Celestial, I'll take you to see the thing you need." Ouyang Hua looked like he had made a great decision as he clasped his hands and led the way. Wang Lin casually followed him out of the house without a word. Although the sky had darkened, there was a bonfire lighting the valley up. The men of the valley were sitting next to the flickering fire and would occasionally laugh out loud. As for the women, they were sitting near their men with their children in their arms. They listened to their men talk and revealed smiles of satisfaction. The entire valley was filled with an aura of peace and safety. This aura gave off a very warm feeling that spread across the area. When Ouyang Hua and Wang Lin appeared, it caused everyone in the valley to become silent. That warm feeling that Wang Lin just felt immediately disappeared. All of the women held onto their children tightly as they nervously looked at Wang Lin. However, not all of the people in the valley looked at Wang Lin with caution. There were some that looked at him with gratitude in their eyes. Ouyang Hua's steps didn't stop as he passed the fire and walked into the depths of the valley. Wang Lin followed Ouyang Hua at a pace that wasn't fast nor slow. When he passed by the fire, all of the villagers made way for him. When one of the women was fleeing, she didn't hold onto her child tightly enough, so the child fell. She wanted to pick her child up, but her face turned pale when she saw that Wang Lin had already arrived. As for the child, he picked himself up. He seemed to not notice his mother's anxious gaze and looked curiously at Wang Lin. When Wang Lin walked past the child, he stopped for a moment and lowered his head to look at him. This child looked very stout and honest. When looking at him, Wang Lin couldn't help but think of Da Nio's childhood. Wang Lin let out a smile as he rubbed the child's head and walked past him. After Wang Lin left, the child's mother quickly rushed forward and grabbed the child before quickly retreating. From a distance, there were sounds of scolding. It wasn't until Wang Lin had left for a long time that the warm feeling around the fire returned. Ouyang Hua quickly led Wang Lin into the depths of the valley. This area was shaped like a gourd and the entrance was the valley. Ouyang Hua currently was standing at the base of the gourd. There weren't many trees here, and there were many strange plants growing on the ground. Stepping on the ground would create rustling sounds and give off a very soft feeling. "Supreme Celestial, please look." Ouyang Hua stopped moving and pointed forward. Wang Lin's divine sense spread out, and he immediately showed a look of understanding. His gaze fell on a cliff in the depths of the valley. This cliff was completely cyan, and when compared to the other cliffs, it immediately felt very different. However, this wasn't what caught Wang Lin's attention. What caught his attention was the white, crystal-like object at the center of the cliff. This crystal was diamond-shaped and was hanging off the cliff. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a pondering light. Earlier, when he spread out his divine sense to sweep the area, he found nothing. However, now he that was up close and was able to see it, he was able to gain some insight. There were celestial spiritual energy fluctuations coming from the white crystal, but after taking a closer look, Wang Lin had another strange idea. This isn't celestial spiritual energy. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light as he stepped forward, pointed at the crystal, and tried to sense it from a distance. His origin soul extended from his finger to feel the energy from the white crystal. His expression suddenly changed before he withdrew his right finger and began to ponder. Ouyang Hua softly said, "Supreme Celestial, this is the thing the ancestor said you foreigners must have. You guys call it crystallized celestial spiritual energy, but we call it demon spirit crystal. The role of the demon spirit crystal is to help the tribesmen recover from injuries. This is why I said that if I give you this, all of the tribe members will die one by one. However, the quality of this demon spirit crystal is low, so its healing ability isn't great. Compared to your pills, I'd rather use those." Wang Lin didn't say anything as he raised his hand once more and reached out. A rumbling sound immediately came from the cliff. At first it was soft, but soon it grew louder. Thunderous roars came from the cliff and were immediately noticed by the people inside the valley. Aside from that, the thunderous roar seemed to cause the surrounding cliffs to shake as if there was an earth dragon moving around underneath them. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his right hand pulled viciously. After a few cracking sounds, the white crystal broke free from the cliff and landed in his hand. At the moment he touched the white crystal, Wang Lin immediately felt a cold aura come out from it. This aura directly entered his body through his right arm. This white aura didn't travel through his meridians but moved along his bones. After quickly cycling once through Wang Lin's body, the aura gathered at his dantian. It slowly condensed into a rice grain-sized crystal that gave off an white aura as it slowly turned, making it look like a nebula. This white aura looked like celestial spiritual energy, but in truth, it was very different from it. Celestial spiritual energy was gentle, while this energy was gentle but contained a powerful demonic aura. After absorbing this demonic energy, Wang Lin's entire body went through a very noticeable change. This video will end here.